Now for the day's business news with Yuka Hoya. Yuka, good to see you. You're starting out with the conference taking place here in Paris, where world leaders are gathering for that summit, hoping to help Lebanon, a country now being battered by war.
Well, France has pledged 100 million euros in new aid. Germany pledged a similar amount. As the Lebanese government says, international support so far has only covered about 20% of its needs. Its crisis minister recently said Lebanon needs $250 million or 230 million euros per month to help provide basic necessities such as water, food and shelter to more than 1 million people who fled their homes in the ongoing violence. Long-term recovery will cost much more.
It's billions of dollars of reconstruction, including houses, full villages on the border were blown up in the last few days, but also public institutions, water establishment, pumping station, hospitals, name it. All of these need to be rebuilt.
Ahead of the Paris conference, the United Nations Development Programme released its assessment of the impact of war on Lebanese people, infrastructure and economic activity, warning that if the hostilities continue through the end of the year, GDP could shrink by as much as 9.2% and push nearly a third of the working population out of jobs. Delano.
And Yuka, Lebanon's economy was already in trouble before the war.
Well, the country has gone through what the World Bank in 2021 called potentially one of the three worst economic and financial crises worldwide since the 1800s. A currency crisis brought on by years of mismanagement, the coronavirus pandemic, and a massive blast at the port of Beirut left the once prosperous Middle East nation teetering on the brink. Brian Quinn has more.
A once apparently resilient economy first faltering, then collapsing. By 2018, years of excessive deficit spending and rampant corruption by Lebanon's fractious sectarian government had turned it into the world's third most indebted state. Its currency was pegged to the US dollar, but with few exports, the system relied heavily on central bank deposits by wealthy Lebanese investors. To attract them, the central bank offered increasingly high interest rates, relying on new deposits to pay interest on old ones, in a system experts have described as a Ponzi scheme on a national level. When it unraveled, the effect was calamitous. Retail banks began locking down dollar withdrawals, sparking street protests. The Lebanese pound quickly lost 90% of its value, sending once comfortable middle-class families into poverty.
Those Lebanese are realizing that they are really in a situation that have lost everything and there is no future. Everything is blocked for them.
Then came COVID lockdowns, sparking more business closures, unemployment, and inflation. In August 2020, a massive blast at the port of Beirut devastated billions of dollars worth of infrastructure in the capital. By early 2024, fully 80% of the population was living below the poverty line. It looked as if the economy had hit rock bottom. GDP contracted by 0.2% in 2023, a modest loss compared to previous years. Now, though, Israel's bombing campaign is dealing yet another heavy blow, further deepening an economic and financial crisis that ranks among the worst ever in the modern world.
Moving on to another major business story next, and the crisis at aerospace giant Boeing continues to deepen as factory workers vote to extend their strike.
Yolanda, 64% of striking workers voted to reject the latest contract offer, which included a pay raise of 35% over 4 years. The walkout at the planemaker's plant on the US's Pacific West Coast began on the 13th of September, with some 33,000 machinists halting production of some of its best-selling jets. Among the sticking points, Boeing's refusal to return to a traditional fixed benefit pension system. The vote came just hours after the company released its latest quarterly results, showing a $6.1 billion net loss. It brings the planemaker's losses to nearly $40 billion over the past 5 years. Boeing hasn't turned a profit since 2018. Its total backlog now stands at a staggering $511 billion, including over 5,400 commercial planes. Here's what the workers had to say.
And we're seeing other companies, shippers union, 67% raise. I'm like, and the people that have been here in this leading industry, the biggest aerospace company in the world, we would like to see better from them.
We're moving towards something better. I want to see something more on the contract with our 401k. But for the most part, it looks like it's headed towards the right track.
Boeing shares are down more than 2.5% in pre-market trading this Thursday after workers voted to continue striking. European markets are moving higher after a negative start to the trading day. This as more corporate earnings reports have come in. British banking giant Barclays gained around 4% on better than expected third quarter results. French carmaker Renault is up 7% after reporting an unexpected uptick in its quarterly revenue, helped by strong sales of its luxury models. And that's it for business.
Thank you very much for that, Yuka. Yuka Roy there with the business news. More